Well, our top story this hour, China's ambassador to Australia has been repeatedly interrupted by protesters at a controversial address at a Sydney university. Let's go live to Trudy McIntosh. Trudy, take us through what happened.
Well, Andrea, these were quite dramatic scenes at the University of Technology in Sydney this morning. The Chinese ambassador to Australia in this rare public appearance was interrupted at least half a dozen times at this event by protesters raising their concerns directly and vocally. We saw some holding signs saying "Free Tibet," others yelling out their concerns about China's human rights record, specifically allegations of genocide directed towards Uyghur people inside China. The official feed that was being beamed out was cut when these protests took place, but as you can see, cameras were in the room capturing every moment of this. There was no doubt China's ambassador was not happy with the reception he received. You'll see in a moment his response. He believes this is not free speech and people should have been more polite and listened to the dialogue. Take a look at some of the protest scenes and the reaction from the ambassador.
It's indeed my great pleasure to be here for the event. I'd like to...
genocide. 1 million Uyghur Muslims in concentration camps. Stop the genocide. Tibet remains colonised. We want freedom for Tibet, freedom for Hong Kong, independence for Hong Kong. Stop platforming murder. This is a representative of a dictatorship with 1 million Muslims in concentration camps.
Gentlemen, UTS welcomes freedom of speech on campus. Let me make that clear. That right, however, does not extend to speaking over the top of invited guests.
Obviously, it's not a... it is start.
I'm the one my student here. What a disgrace. How about freedom of speech in China? Disgraceful.
And those who are attending should respect the law and order. Keep quiet while we're speaking. Yeah. So those number of people who are coming again and again to disrupt the process, that's not expression of freedom of speech.
China's ambassador delivered an address and then he sat down for this lengthy Q&A. The moderator made it clear, though, that the questions had been prepared ahead of time and provided to the Chinese embassy so that it was essentially advance noticed on some of the topics. But there was some thornier issues discussed that are crucial to Australia's rocky relationship with Beijing. On the issue of trade sanctions, the ambassador claimed that it wasn't an official sanction being slapped by the Beijing government, rather an uprising of concern amongst the Chinese people to some of Australia's actions. As for this matter of the 14 grievances, this came up. The Chinese embassy provided this list of grievances to the Nine network a few years back. You can see it on screen here. It was things from the banning of 5G. It had also included just the Australian media making unfriendly comments in China's view about Beijing. He argues now that this was never a list of preconditions to repair the relationship, rather just raising concerns about how Australia had treated its biggest trading partner.
And then eventually the concerns were being reported in a twisted way as the so-called preconditions, as demands. And this is not true. If the Australian side expresses their concern on certain things to the Chinese side, I'm not going to categorize it as a precondition. It's just their concern. These concerns, and we're going to talk about this.